Después, Unajpú e Ixbalanqué fueron llevados delante de una hoguera. Y así murieron.
Ahora sí los hemos vencido. Por fin se han entregado.
Después de varios días, Unajpú e Ixbalanqué aparecieron convertidos en peces y luego se transformaron en hombres pobres que hacían grandes prodigios. Se mataban uno al otro y se resucitaban.
¡Qué asombroso! Sacrifíquennos a nosotros también.
Sacrifiquémoslos, pero no los resucitemos. Nosotros somos Unajpú e Ixbalanqué. Ustedes mataron a nuestros padres. Somos los vengadores de sus dolores y sufrimientos. Ustedes son malos y les gusta hacer el mal a los hombres. Son falsos de corazón, envidiosos. Serán humillados. El juego de pelota no será para ustedes. Solamente harán ollas, platos y piedras de moler maíz. Y así fueron vencidos para siempre los señores de Xibalbá. Luego, Unajpú se convirtió en el sol e Ixbalanqué en la luna.
Ahora ya sabemos por qué los mayas, los egipcios, se deformaban el cráneo. Imitaban a los dioses del sol. Hay cráneos deformados y hay cráneos naturales de honestas formas, porque querían conseguir que el esfenoides tuviera toda la posible movilidad y así poder obtener la visión que podrían tener los ojos sin tener adherencias los nervios ópticos y oculomotor. Con tablillas colocadas en el frontal y en el occipital mantenían el cráneo elevándose y no crecía tanto hacia abajo por la fuerza de la gravedad tan fuerte que existe en el planeta Tierra, igual que las emociones. De esta manera conseguían liberar el movimiento del hueso esfenoides y recuperar la visión de sus antepasados, que en el Popol Vuh vimos que restaron ese sentido en la humanidad actual. Colocaban una bolita en el flequillo de los niños, además de deformar su cráneo, para que se hicieran semibizcos. Aquí veis cómo todos los mayas de la clase sacerdotal y élite eran bizcos. Hasta ahora los historiadores, arqueólogos, decían que los mayas tenían un semibizqueo por cuestión de belleza. Ahora vamos a ver que había una razón mucho más importante detrás de esta costumbre de bizquear de los mayas.
And there's no question that we've all been here many, many times before. We have many incarnations. And Jesus' story was very simple. Love your neighbor and you'll go to heaven. We love each other. The voltage inside gets bigger and bigger and bigger. We get a halo, and eventually the halo is so powerful it will escape the Earth's gravity and go back to God, who is light. We'll become God again. But it's very difficult because everything we see around us is illusion, Maya. That's what the word means. We think we see individuals when we're actually all the same person. We're here to love each other. As long as we love each other, the voltage gets greater and greater and greater. And eventually we become light beings. Now, the bottom line is that you are all God inside. We all have a soul. The body is the devil, 666. We're made of carbon, the carbon atom, which has 6 electrons, 6 protons, 6 neutrons. We're the body. The physical earth is made out of 666. God, the soul around us, is 144,000, and that's the speed of light. Summer is all about the Celtic people who had exactly the same beliefs as the Egyptians, who had exactly the same beliefs as the Incas, who had exactly the same beliefs as the ancient Chinese. And they had the same beliefs because Jesus has been back to earth many times as different leaders. It's the same guy, his last incarnation. And if we look at, this is a Magic Eye 3D picture that we see in the popular magazines. And if you stare at them, you can see other information. This has got the pyramids in area here, but you can't see it until you stare at it. How did they do this if they didn't have acetates? Well, the Egyptians have tried to tell us about this. Here we see Nefertiti with one eye and one eye missing from the museum. It's in Berlin now, actually. And she's telling us we can only see half the information. The same with Akhenaten, the so-called father of Tutankhamun. He's got one eye missing. He's telling us we can only see half the information. And we've got a left hemisphere and a right hemisphere. Now, we need acetates because we're stupid. We have to put one here and put them on top of each other. But the Mayans were so intelligent, they opened their left eye, like the magic eye picture, and stored the picture, just like this one. Then they opened their right eye and stored the picture, and then the brain overlapped the two sides. So they didn't need acetates. We're the ones who need acetates because we're stupid. Now, can the brain do this? Well, the brain can do this. There's a report of a girl in England called Vicky Wilmore, and she was 10 years old, and one day she had a headache, she got up in the morning, went to school, and everything she wrote was upside down and back to front. The only way the teacher could read her essays was to put a mirror to the side of it, and she could read it, and it was perfect. But it was the exact opposite of what it was the day before, and it stayed like that for 3 years. And so she fell off the chair while watching Manchester United, banged her head, and everything went the right way around again. And she's been fine ever since. So we know the brain can invert things and turn it upside down with no difficulty and regurgitate the information. I started to look at the stories, many more stories, and unfortunately, you're not going to see very much because of the setup. But that was the mask covering the man in the tomb. And there are actually 3 dots on here, 1, 2, 3. There are 2 dots there, darker ones, 1, 2. There's a dot there, 1. There's a dot here. There's a bead in his mouth. So I thought, well, could these be markers of alignment, just like the amazing lid of Palenque? Was the amazing lid of Palenque the Rosetta Stone, which taught me the rules? Once I'd found out the rules, could I now take other artifacts, turn them upside down, and line up the dots like that, and come out with the bat god? Now, again, it's not very clear on here, but there's the eye, the nose, it's got a bead in his mouth, and these 3 dots underneath are aligned. If I can just see, I just can't see it because the resolution's so bad. Can you see the bat god in the middle area with his 2 ears sticking up? And he's got his tongue out, and he's got a big black bead in his mouth, and he's got a cloak, and under the bottom of the cloak here, he's got 4 triangles, which tells us he ruled the north, south, the west, and the east of the sky. Now, as I move these around, we come out with lots of other pictures. For example, when I line the 2 black dots up there, we come out with a small boy here with 2 eyes. He's got a helmet on. There's lots of pictures. These are very complex pictures. Let me a bit brighter. Can you see the small boy now? He's got a feathered hat on. There's his eye, his nose, his mouth. He's got his tongue sticking out of his mouth, and there's actually a snake coming, a V, like the tongue of a snake. On his forehead, he's got the god of sacrifice, which is here, with 2 earrings, one on either side, with an eye, and he's got a lotus blossom on his forehead. Beneath the lotus blossom, we have a Buddha figure, cross-legged, praying. And this tells us that this boy wore a feathered hat in his previous life. And he's telling us he came to the throne at the age of 9. He was known as the feathered snake to his people. He was the eagle in the sky, the soul, and also the snake on the ground, which shed its skin and reincarnated. He's telling us that he was Tutankhamun, the guy with the feathers and the snake on his forehead. He's telling us he was Buddha, cross-legged, praying. He's telling us he was the Lord of sacrifice. This is the picture at the back. And when we start, there's a sketch of the picture I'm trying to explain. And even that, again, it's very fuzzy because of the resolution of this thing. But here we have the Mayan god of fire and sacrifice called Xiahtecutli, also known as Xiapi Totec to the Mayas. And he has a brazier on his back, and they used to put people in the brazier and cremate them. So Xiahtecutli wore a helmet to keep the heat off his head. Here we see the small picture of the boy is wearing a helmet. It's telling us he is Jaitikutli, the small boy Jaitikutli, the god of sacrifice. And it's telling us he was a feathered snake. He's got the feathered snake coming out of his mouth here. He's telling us that he used to pray cross-legged beneath a lotus blossom. And he's telling us that he was a feathered snake of Egypt, Tutankhamun. Tutankhamun means the living image of Amun, the son of Amun, the son of God, the child of God, God's son.